You want something that really blows your mind?
Yeah.
If you look at Genesis chapter 1, he says you shall have dominion over the fish of the sea and the fowl of the air.
The fowl?
Yeah, which is the birds of the air.
Yeah.
And then he says every creepeth thing. So people would always ask, like, why did God say specifically those animals? When I, read in context, you can see that fish are and birds have something that's really different and unique than other animals. They have two birds. So they'll have the egg and then the bird it'll crack and come out. Fish is caviar, yeah, and then they'll swim out. Birds, what's beautiful about them is they can defy gravity, meaning they can go against the flow. Fish can swim upstream, also go against the flow. And when we're born again, we can go against the flow of the world. So that's why he says it.
Mic drop, dude.
That's bars.
Mic drop, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, ooh, that was so deep. So many people in the comments were saying how deep that was because it was so deep. Now, also, it did say in the Bible, it did say every beast of the field and every creepy thing. So, but let's be specific. He said fish and birds. He said those two animals. Fish and birds are not two distinctive animals. Those are animal groups. Just like beast of the field was an animal group. Just like insect, creepy, crawly thing was an animal group to those people at those time frames because they only had the four. Everything that was in the ocean, everything that was in water was a fish. So dolphins to them, fish. Whales to them, fish. We know better now. Every bird of the air, fowl of the air. Well, they thought bats were birds of the air. So we know they're now marsupials. So we know that they're not birds. And then every beast of the field and every creepy crawly thing. And we know that there are so many different variables when it comes to beast of the field. I mean, there's serpents, and so there's reptiles, and then there's mammals, and there are differences all around. Some birds don't fly, so they are of the field as well, an ostrich. So it just shows the lack of scientific knowledge that the people had at that time frame. But let's roll with what he said though. Because fish and birds, they come out of eggs and crack and everything. But let's take an animal that we know Christians just cannot stand. Because, snakes, they lay eggs as well and crack and come through, and snakes, they regenerate new skin. So it's a renewing of the person through the snake, the wisdom, which is why snakes were venerated by many cultures in the past, because snakes, they have a new skin. So wouldn't snakes be incorporated into that same thing because they have these variable things that are different, than goes against the other animals don't shed their skin like snakes do and become renewed like the renewing of the Spirit of Jesus. They don't do that. So why aren't snakes venerated in the same way in Christianity as they are in other religions? If we go with what this guy is saying, mountain goats stand on the side of mountains and climb mountains. They go against the grain. No other animal lives on the side of mountains like that, like some of them mountain goats. That's different. Yeah. And they make and have babies in their likeness, like God did in their likeness of man. This just demonstrates how many try to captivate the young and the dumb, the old and the foolish, with different types of new age way of thinking of things that really isn't new age way of thinking of nothing. It's just some mumbo jumbo bullshit that they like to put together that sounds good, that makes a person say, ooh, a new thought process. It's not hellfire and brimstone. They're bringing the new gospel to me. But really, it's the same old, just repackaged in a different way. And this just not only happens in Christianity, this happens in many different facets of life, that people just repackage the same bullshit and then spread it over a piece of bread and expect you to make a sandwich out of it. And that's what this dude is doing. He's making a bullshit sandwich. And people are, at least those in that room, are eating it up. At least those in the comments are. One of the most interesting things I find is that most people who believe something never ever take the time to contemplate what the person is saying, to see and validate whether or not it has strength, as whether or not it has merit. We do this in so many areas of our lives. When in all areas of our lives, we should see if something has merit before we make it a part of who we are, a part of our personages. Because as people were saying that, oh, that was some dope knowledge, he dropped a bomb, he blew my mind. There was nothing mind blowing about it. If you actually, even if you were a believer, if you read that part, he also did the beast of the field. So what's the significance of the beast of the field? He also did the every creepy crawly thing. But what's the significance of every creepy crawling thing? It would all be relative to which individual animal you pick and choose. That would make the difference. And that's what he did. He picked and chose a category, but the categories and the examples still don't fit because turtles lay eggs. And then they leave their babies and desert them and let them try to grow up on their own while they are desperate to evade being eaten from the moment that they are born on the beaches and then try to survive through the trials of the ocean. That they are one in the few that survive. So why didn't he use turtles? Could have used something out of that. You see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? So y'all have a great day. And always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations.